Hello,
Hello.
uh, dear watchers, dear listeners. Rijeka are the HNL champions.
They are Champions League.
They are Champions League. They entered the second qualifying round,
Well, they're more like a
unseeded.
Conference League.
They entered the Champions League second qualifying round unseeded. But and they might face Olympia Ljubljana.
Well, I mean, I think Mr. Sanchez will be off this summer, so there won't be like Spain powered, which does like add like
Yeah,
100 ELO onto how hard Olympia are.
yeah. Since you're not on Twitter, Slovenia's tweeted these are the HNL champions, actually the Croatian champions, and he posted the picture of the final. And I responded, "Hey, the next time they'll play, it's gonna be much closer, like 4-0."
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get onto that final last day. The trophy was at Ogulin. Marian Kostic and the whole HNS staff had a nice little resort in Ogulin. They all watched the matches. Kostic is afraid of flying, which was said on the broadcast. So poor him. Had a bit of the heebie-jeebies getting onto the helicopter. But he survived. He brought the trophy to Rijeka, where Rijeka won 2-0. In the end, everybody won. There was no late drama. Sadly, for me, because the only thing I was focused on that late, knowing that Varaždin and Slavia are losing, Istra was playing very good against Osijek, but Hernani scored a top free kick. What a goal! And Dario Maricic also just cold-blooded in that game, scored a Panenka in that in that amount of pressure. But yeah, if on Thursday in 2 days' time when we're recording this, Rijeka win the cup, Varaždin is going to Europe, and if Slaven win it, obviously they're going to the Europa League first qualifying round.
Yeah, and Dinamo would be in the Conference League.
Yeah, and
The
and if
qualifiers.
Rijeka win it, Dinamo goes straight into the league phase of the Europa League, which think thankfully would actually be probably the best case for us because you get Dinamo immediately. No need to worry about them. Rijeka
Yeah,
just need to win one tie, and they're in a European league phase.
yeah. I really think, like you say, there was drama. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that there was drama, but
Yeah,
every side handled it. I think maybe not as they needed to, but as you probably expected them to.
yeah,
In so much as Dino had a difficult game against Varavsine, no doubt about that.
yeah.
Zelenica was brilliant, as per. Hajduk, I mean, were terrible. I don't think
I
there's
I
many
I
ways
just
around that.
I just take goodness for the multi broadcast because I was watching the multi broadcast. I didn't watch any match just singly. I was just watching the multi broadcast. It was a bit scuffed for the first couple of minutes, especially at the first Rijeka goal.
Yeah,
But they fixed it out in the end. It looked very good uh, later on after that first incident. It's very obvious that the guys at Max Sport are, it was the first time doing that, but they did an okay job at the end.
yeah, and I mean, obviously for Rijeka, I mean, yeah, I think the thing is we probably expected more likely that all three would lose than all three would win their games. But I mean, again, there wasn't any. It was as clean as you get. I mean, obviously, there's a goal which we'll mention,
Yeah.
where if you want to hang your tinfoil hat somewhere, you can hang it on that. But
Yep.
you know, Fruit had a great game,
Yeah.
and that's why not just they won that game. That's why they won the title because he had a lot of great games. And Rijeka will not hold on to him this summer. But obviously, the nature of the deal that they hammered out with Fiorentina in the first place means that they'll probably hang. It probably will be August 29th. There you go. I think he probably will be around for the European
Yeah.
qualifiers. I would expect.
Yeah. News came out today. I mean, we can go on to that, but that Leipzig, Dvarshet reported that Leipzig are in for Fruk, possibly breaking the record for the biggest transfer out of Rijeka. But the problem with that is only like 25 to 35% would actually go to Rijeka, since 50% is reportedly, according to some sources, going to Fiorentina. Rijeka also made a deal with Gorica after getting Sopic that Fruk would they would get 5% from the Fruk transfer. And obviously, you still have to give the player money and his agent money. So in the end, it runs about to around 30% that you would get for the sale.
Yeah. And I think they are trying to work that out with Fiorentina, but I think possibly unsurprisingly, Fiorentina are like, yeah, no,
No.
we'll take the money, please.
We'll take the money. We didn't get any when we gave it
Yeah.
to you, but we would love some money. But yeah, obviously there's 100% other clubs in the mix. Damir Mirkovic himself has said that it's unrealistic for Fruk to stay today. But so yeah, Fruk. I mean, I think it's very obvious for anybody that he was gonna leave after this kind of season.
Yeah, it's just pumping it up to a value where it's acceptable.
Yeah.
But I mean, that might also have an extra value put on it come the start of, well, I think it's start next week, come about a week and a half time. I'm sure he will get his national team debut. There's no doubt about that, or at least there's not giving him a national team debut against Gibraltar.
No, if you're playing against Gibraltar, I just expect a full young side to start or to be constantly on the pitch. If you're gonna sub somebody on, okay, Luka will probably get off the bench just for another appearance because obviously it's Luka Modric. We'll also get to him since he's a huge talking point recently. But let's move back to the game. Rijeka got exactly what they needed early on, a goal. Niko Jankovic with a fantastic finish. Very, very reminiscent of the day before when Sunderland got promoted back to the Premier League with a very similar goal.
Yeah. I mean, it was classic Rijeka, really, wasn't it?
Outside the box.
Yeah, exactly. Right at the edge of the box, just curled in, and obviously there was no chance for keeper at all. In that, Slavin hadn't started badly, but that obviously it settled the nerves, and Rijeka were able to. Okay, they did get a scare, but they were able to actually settle into the game very quickly, and that. Of all three teams, they're the ones that needed the early goal from a mental perspective. Because if that early goal goes in Šibenik, if that early goal goes in at Dinamo, then the word gets round and the nerves start spilling out on the pitch. I think that's one thing. The news of goals was almost instantaneous at the other grounds. And I know from watching the Hajduk game, when Savin had that goal disallowed, and absolutely fairly, it was well offside.
So offside. I was like, I was watching this. I was watching the multi broadcast with my friend. Doesn't really follow the HNL, but was very interested on the last day. And I was like, Slovin scored, and the multi broadcast was on Hajduk, I think, and I was just like, show it. And they show it, and I just see Dolcek 20 miles off, and I'm like, for fuck's sake. And I'm just thinking of the poor fans, of the poor away fans in Dinamo, in the Šibenik, and the Dinamo fans in Zagreb, just being like, Slaven equalized.
Yeah,
only a minute later.
That's it. You could hear the cheers on the broadcast. From the Hajduk fans, and then about 30 seconds later, the jeers from Dividic fans, who were as, your app's wrong, mate. But that's that was obviously the very fine margins that they were playing with. But I think of the three sides, Rijeka did the most professional job. I don't think there's too much doubt about that. I don't think there's too much dispute, even really. They could have gone ahead before they did. For created a chance for Chop, they just sort of just went over his head. And then Savin had that goal aside, but they didn't follow it up with much of anything else.
There was also a penalty call that wasn't given
Hmm.
for Boric's handball. Uh, your thoughts?
Um, think there's another handball later on we'll mention. But I think that one was okay.
You mean no penalty or
No penalty. No.
yeah?
Yeah.
I've stopped thinking about it. I've just been like, whatever you give, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
The ball touched the hand. Now, whatever the ref chooses, okay. I won't even try to argue this time. Uh,
Yeah. I'm thinking the one in the in Osijek because
yeah.
again that was very close, and obviously it was given for Easter, but I can't see the justification
Again,
there on that one.
same thought process for me. You gave it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm kind of cheering on Istra here, so I'm a bit subjective. I was like, when the match was Istra started, I told my friend this is the only match that I actually want to watch. Like, if I had to pick one game, I would choose this game just because I want to see Istra win. But
Yeah.
Hernani didn't allow that.
No.
But yeah, I mean, let's get to the goal of Fruk. Ivan Sushak with, I mean, he ended up in the team of the season,
Hmm.
which I'll also get to the awards last night, which uh, bit weird for me how they
Hmm.
gone about it, but we'll get to it. But I mean, assist. Maybe he's trying to get into the Rijeka squad.
To be fair, it's only the second biggest goalkeeping error of the weekend. The
Yeah,
first, the first being Carlo Giga. Just
yeah.
like, I won't stick
Oh,
my hands up to a ball going right over my head.
I
Um,
completely forgot that was the same weekend.
yeah.
I
I
know. I
mean,
watched the match. I mean, I didn't really watch. I was just like on my second screen at home. I was just kind of peeking, and I was like, "Oh, Karadzic scored," and I was, "Oh, it got deflected," and Jigar is just, "Oh, okay, I'll watch it go over me."
yeah.
Uh,
But it's an excellent finish from Frug. I think
yeah, no,
you
from that distance,
from that distance, and it's such an easy from a technique perspective. He's taking it quickly. There's no time
yeah,
for Shushak to get back and reset. You almost expect him to get the ball at feet. Okay, right. I'll take 3 touches and keep it going back, and then you end up
yeah,
either sort of going one on one, happy with close down, or trying to chip the keeper. No, it just takes it straight away, and it's very easy to pull that wide.
no,
Um,
very easy.
to have just hit it, basically just pinged it straight, is a
Yeah,
very difficult thing to do, and it's probably a goal that won't get the plaudits it deserves because
it's an
it's
open
followed
net.
by a mistake. But
Yeah, and it's an open net also.
yeah, but it's an excellent finish.
Yeah,
And I mean that's your two big title deciding games in each league this weekend being decided from 40 yards, which is kind of what you want to see.
true. If you guys didn't see Ivor Weizer's goal, please just search up Ivor Weitzer. It's gonna pop up.
Yeah.
Uh, and while you're at it, you might as well watch a compilation that's up anywhere on YouTube because you will enjoy that.
Yeah.
If we see that, if you see that man next season in the HNL, I assure you, Hajduk Dinamo Rijeka will suffer 100%. If they give up a free kick, they will suffer.
Yeah, I mean that. Well, yeah, we can mention very quickly. It's an extraordinary goal. I think
Yeah.
it's Pernambucano.
I saw
Yes.
people blaming the goalkeeper, but I'm like, who can expect
No.
that to go? Who can expect that to go top bins from that distance? And he also tried it before, and he wasn't even close to scoring it. It landed on like the 5 meter box, and the goalkeeper easily catched it earlier in the game, but then did that. But fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, also while we're on the talking point, I don't think it's today should be the day that we get news about Opatia and Vukovar. It's almost confirmed that Opatia has the license. They're most
Mhm.
likely will play at the Rujevica now. They're trying to get Kantrida up to the licensee, but I think the pitch is the main problem
Mhm.
there. And Vukovar will play at the Cibalia Stadium
Yeah.
in Vinkovci. They also tried to get Gradski Vrt, but Gradski Vrt has been unused mostly. It's been mostly used by Osijek's youth teams and Osijek's women's team. But
Mhm.
other than that, it's just been left unkept.
Yeah.
That match is on Saturday, or
Uh,
it's on the 1st of June. Actually, it's on Sunday.
that okay.
Sunday, 1st of June. So we still have loads of football to be played. We obviously have Thursday Cup final, then
Mhm.
Sunday, and then we have the World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, and
But
then it all starts again.
and then it all starts again. But let's surely comment over the Hajduk and Dinamo matches. Dinamo, obviously, we slightly mentioned it, but Petar Sucic once again, brilliant goal.
Yeah, I mean, he tried a couple of times from distance as well,
Yeah,
but yeah, so Zelek had a great game.
yeah,
The real point going around that. I mean, I think I don't know if there were because I didn't see any of the pre-game stuff. I don't know because obviously the Dinamo game did start a couple of minutes late, and then they
hmm
managed to somehow find another couple of minutes on half time as well. But then, literally, as they kicked off, Tony Crook scored.
yeah.
So it was kick off, and then wait a minute,
Crook.
yeah.
Oh, wait a
So
minute, it's over.
yeah, so it's quite a strange sort of last 15 minutes. I think it's fair to say because you have Varadine who Easter are obviously really trying hard to win, and
Yeah,
very nearly did. A couple of late chances there, and if you're at that point sort of going into second half injury time, Dynamo, their heads are gone. I think that's fair to say because so we saw Baturina, head and hands on the bench.
yeah,
When the final whistle happened at Rijeka, again there were players just heads in hands. You're realizing that you've lost the title. You still got 8 minutes of injury time to play, or whatever it was. How do you pick yourself up for that? And I think they're probably lucky in that sense that Istra weren't still 1-0 up
yeah.
because Barazine could have put them into third
I wish they
had they
did.
needed something.
I wish they did. Because Hajduk needs that parachute, that safe landing for one round. Because I don't think otherwise we can get into Europe. But we'll get to Hajduk. But yeah, Varaždin did score. They actually took the lead, but I was
Yeah.
disallowed. It was very nearly offside, but it was.
Yeah.
Judging by the
It-
lines, I think this time the lines were right.
I think it's one of those where it really helps that you have the lines on the pitch,
Yeah.
not the drawn lines, the lines that were mown, because you could at least tell pretty much straight away. Yeah, okay, it's tight, but it is obvious enough. But I mean, again, that was a big scare for
Yeah.
Dynamo, and I mean, Baratine had their moments throughout, but again, it's always going to be a tight game against them this season,
And it was.
and it was mainly thanks to Salonika, but
Yeah, again, I mean, yeah. I mean, Hajduk, I don't really want to talk about much about it because it was just sad. But whenever we turned up to the Hajduk match on the multi broadcast, I was just like shibboleths on the attack.
and I mean, as sort of mentioned, you had watched the full first half before HNS got a hold of the stream and took it down.
Poor you.
I mean, it was bad. I
Yeah,
think
no, I know.
you're right. I mean, Shibnik probably deserved to. They definitely did not deserve to lose that game.
Yeah,
For a start, you have the very late Santini chance that he just, absolutely pulls wide from 6 yards
yeah,
out and easier to score. And but I mean that was representative of the game. Even when Hajduk had 11 men, Sivnik were in the ascendancy most of the time.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean the problem Hajduk have is obviously there's not got a lot of pace in the side, not got a lot of
Yeah.
movement in the side. Um, and you have Levi trying to do everything himself, and then he does something stupid. I don't think it's a soft red in the sense that there's not that much
Yeah.
force, but you know,
It's just it's
it's a red
you're
card.
bringing trouble. Yeah, you're bringing trouble upon yourself for no
Yeah,
reason.
yeah. I think I saw when it first sort of coming through on the reports, like, oh, it's a punch. Like, it's not a punch, but
No.
if you're grabbing a guy's hair and then just barging him,
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard to defend
Yeah,
Leviathan. I
it's
think it's fair
very
to
hard
say.
to defend. The way I saw it was like, okay, the hair grabbing, one yellow, and then immediately after does that, and I'm like, okay, I don't have anything against Shulna providing a red there,
Yeah,
even though I don't think, even though he could have maybe said to Levi, hey, here's a yellow. If you do anything similar, second yellow, you're off.
yeah,
But yeah, I can't argue against giving him the red because just what are you doing?
yeah.
I probably wanted to go home early, which I
And
would too.
then the Torcida wouldn't let him because they decided to set the advertising boards on fire.
Yeah, and we had 20 minutes of our time, which
Yeah.
kind of resembled the 20 years of no title. Yeah, I just remember the multi-broadcast for a split second going to the Hajduk Šibenik match, and I just see fire, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I haven't seen what was happening at the match. I didn't care, to be honest, but we pop back up and it's just a fire at the top right. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Because it did go from the sort of white smoke, sort of grey smoke of the players. And there were a lot of them, but you probably could have played a little bit longer than they did. But then to the black
Yeah,
smoke of
no.
something that's not meant to
Yeah,
be on fire being on
fire. Yeah,
fire. And obviously it's stupid. And Hajduk could be paying for that.
yeah, like they have been all these years.
Yeah.
I'll get to Hajduk when we get to the newer news. What else should we mention? I mean, congratulations to Rijeka, obviously. They deserved it the most. They
Yeah.
have, alongside Dinamo, the most points in the league, but they were better than Dinamo in their head-to-head. So if you beat Dinamo, was it 3-0 or 4-0?
Corner.
4-0. If you beat Dinamo 4-0, then if you're tied to them, you deserve to win it, and they did. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
I mean, and it ended, I mean, slightly farcically. It was just in terms of the amount of fans around, obviously, they get a corner. Like, yeah, we're not
I
going
mean,
to go
yeah,
try and take
I
that.
no, I mean, it was like 15 seconds left until the end. It's just as soon as one person stepped on the pitch, that's it. Everybody else is gonna gang up and in there, which they did. Fair enough to
Yeah.
them. They've been waiting for this the whole week. They were
Mhm.
preparing for this, and they got it. And they were. I mean, they filled the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. You obviously had to wait a while for the helicopter, but,
It
I
paid
mean,
off.
we say they had to wait a while. They had to wait a year and a few weeks from last season. And that's,
Yeah.
really, I mean, I appreciate this season is now last season, but, you know,
Still not over.
that's,
We still have the
yeah,
cup final.
but that's where you have that release from. I mean, I think if last season hadn't gone how it had, and this season had gone how it did, then it wouldn't have been as euphoric a feeling. I think
Yeah, no,
there wouldn't have been the
definitely.
release.
Yeah,
But we got what we got.
yeah. Um, I'm kind of worried for the Rijeka groundsman because that pitch was people took the pitch apart. They took their memorabilia. They took the nets. Anything that they could get their hands on, they took on the pitch.
Yeah.
So they have a bit of a job to do. I hope they already started. But yeah, it was nice to also to see Ivan Smolcic at the ceremony coming back. to get his medal, because obviously he was at the club. And I'm also wondering, will Rijeka send one to Niko Galasic?
Well, he's due one. I know Ivanovic is asking for one, isn't he? It's like,
Yeah, but it's
I
up
want
to
two this
Rijeka.
season, please.
Yeah, it's up to Rijeka if they want to send, because I know there were talks about Ivan Perisic getting one from Hajduk if Hajduk did it.
I think it might,
But yeah,
at this rate, it might be like at the Europa League final last week, where you just get to the players at the end, like, yeah, we've run out of medals.
yeah.
We'll send yours in the post, son.
You have the trophy.
You have the trophy, yeah.
You finally got it. But yeah, in the years of people ending their title trophy droughts, clubs winning their first ever major trophy, Hajduk hasn't ended their trophy drought. Well, title
No.
drought, not trophy
No.
drought, but yeah.
And because I'm sure at some point we will mention it, there was one Hajduk player, former Hajduk player, who obviously did get his hands on some silverware and did end a trophy drought this weekend, Mr. Pallaviesa.
Was very happy at the end.
He was very happy, yeah. Don't blame him.
I don't blame him as well.
I don't mind it too much, because I don't mind Aberdeen at all in any way. And like, I'm in contact with a couple of people at the club just as sort of like professional stuff. So,
Yeah.
I'm sending you congratulations messages through gritted teeth a little bit, but
yeah.
yeah.
It's to Aberdeen, it's not to Rangers.
Exactly, yeah. I would not be sending them then.
Would not be sending them anything except death threats.
Well, not that, no.
Oh, sorry.
I should very firmly deny that. That club already died. No.
Fair enough. But yeah, if you guys didn't see what Pallaversa said, he kind of swore on BBC radio, which the BBC is very, very much against. Also, very much against saying anything about Palestine. But that's for another day.
I mean, let's be honest.
Another podcast.
The BBC did make Malta change their Eurovision entry because
because she's saying she's serving singing in Maltese, which okay, whatever you want, guys, whatever makes you feel good. And it was just them, by the way, just them, nobody else.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go on a Eurovision rant. It's a Croatian football podcast. Oh, this Eurovision Song Contest this year set me off almost. It was very close. But yeah. Anyways, another thing that didn't set me off, but I was just like, could have been done better, was the award ceremony yesterday from the Supersport HNL, presented obviously by Max Sport, the award ceremony. Very nice to see, very good for the league to get all the except the best player in the league who didn't show up. But it was nice to see that kind of thing, and for everybody to gather up after the season and just be together and show off the best the league has to offer. But Brook won the youngest player of the season award. He's 24.
Mm-hmm.
What's the age limit there? 24 or 23? I was always under the impression that under 23 is still young. Above that, not so much.
Depends when his birthday is, surely. I don't know when his birthday is, but
neither do I.
Yeah, like we'll send him a card.
It
he
was
still playing for the under 21s not that long ago.
I mean, okay, fair enough. It was in March.
Yeah.
So okay, most of the season was 23, but still.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think particularly because he's been about the league as a prominent player for 4 seasons now.
Yeah, I think 3 actually. Gorica, 2 seasons at Rijeka.
It was 2 seasons at Gorica, wasn't it?
Was there 2?
Yeah.
Or wasn't there just one in the one day?
Like 1.5.
Oh yeah, they extended it to 2 seasons. Yeah. The first season is obviously a blur to me for some reason. But yeah. And Ivan Sušek, I already mentioned, was in the team of the season as the goalkeeper, but Martin Zlomislic won the best goalkeeper award.
Yeah, don't know.
Well, I mean, I get that people voted for the team of the season. No, did they vote? I forgot what we voted for. Uh, I don't think we even voted for the best goalkeeper of the season.
I don't know. I
Let
didn't
me
vote.
check quickly.
Democracy's for fools. No.
Yeah, no, the public only had to vote for the best goal, the best player, the best young player, best manager, best goal, and best save of the
Yeah.
season. So that was wholly up to the jury
The
of Max
pros.
Sport and commentators, which okay, whatever you guys choose. So you're picking Sushak, and pretty much the same people picked Sushak in team of the season and picked Slomisic as the best goalkeeper. Doesn't make a bit of sense to me, but fair enough. Obviously, Marko Livaja wasn't at the ceremony, so Dominik Prpic, Filip Uremovic, and Filip Krovinovic had to take the awards for him. And the poor guys, in the end, the presenter had to put them all up. And he was like, Krovinovic, Uremovic, Prpic, get up here. And he was like, Marko Livaja lives in every single one of these. These three are Marko Livaja. And you can just see that they had to somehow get a bit more time because they were always expecting Livaja to be there and say a bit more than Krovinovic, Uremovic, and Prpic did.
I'm not sure why they expected him to be there.
Yeah, especially after this kind of season. But yeah, he won best goal of the season. Was obviously in the team of the season and won the best player of the season.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm not so sure about player of the season. I think
Yeah, obviously because of the outcome.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
mentioned that on the
week,
last
didn't
podcast.
We?
Yeah.
But it was Fruk.
Yeah, we mentioned that last podcast. It's the problem because you're voting before the end of the season.
Exactly. And I mean, like you say, I mean, keeper's it's a difficult one. And obviously, it doesn't help. You know, hey, you're the best keeper of the season. What did you do yesterday? Don't know. I don't think anyone watched the game, to be honest. But and I mean, I think it's one thing that's also weird. I think this is sort of years of inbuilt memory. Seeing Istra have defenders picked in the team of the season, like what? You guys are meant to like concede 80 goals every season.
Yeah, but I think they actually have the best or second best defense in this calendar year so far in this half season.
Yeah, I mean they are a good defensive side now.
Yeah, no, second best best defense. Varaždin is the best with only 11 conceded.
Varaždin had no one in it.
Yeah, which was a bit surprising because they're the best defensive team in the league.
Yeah,
but yeah. What else? I mean,
should mention manager of the season.
Yeah, Radomir Jalovic was the one that won it up against Kovacic and Garcia. Wouldn't really pick Garcia just because it is a half season, but fair enough to him in this part. Since he's been at Istra is actually third in the league since he joined, so I get why they only lost 3 times in the league, 4 times if you're counting the cup. But yeah, I mean. It depends on what Kovacevic does because he didn't finish 4th. He finished 5th, which is still the best result Slaven Belupa has gotten in the HNL ever. But if he wins the cup, then I think all around the season should go obviously to Kovacevic. If he doesn't, then I'm absolutely fine to give it to Jalovic, who I mean, just his story at Rijeka is amazing, just because he's the only one from the Akirovic staff that didn't leave. Stuck around, was there for Sopic, and then obviously Sopic left and Rijeka gave him the job, and at his first ever job he's gotten more league titles than Michael Arteta.
Yeah. And he's had to do a lot of learning on the job. I mean, as we sort of said, you know, sort of started with mess against Olympia, you know, and having questions over whether he could do it. And I don't necessarily want to say he's proven everyone wrong, because to prove everyone wrong, you have to have a team that wins the title convincingly, which Rijeka didn't
Yeah,
do. But
he still won it. Doesn't matter
he,
how he did it.
he still won it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In 50 years' time, no one's going to look at his wiki page and think, well, that title was much harder than it needed to be. God. But obviously, I think the main question for everyone now is, where does Garcia turn up at?
Well, the Matiski portal immediately the day after the final day of the season say Hajduk, and it's almost but done.
And at the same, it does seem like Dinamo are trying to hijack it as well.
So what I've been able to gather is that as soon as it was made apparent that Gattuso was gonna leave, which was like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, Hajduk immediately went to look for a manager, and they made a verbal agreement with Garcia. And when Boban came in, that was obviously after he had verbally agreed with Hajduk. Boban came in and asked him before Kovacevic, I think, what the reports say to if he wants to join Dinamo, and he said no. And then obviously it should be now it's very close to being done. And Sasha Bielanovic, the sporting director that was already at Hajduk once, should come as a package for him, because obviously Vitali isn't going to last. I think it's very clear that this board is going to leave, and that the new board with Slaven Bilic, Josip Skoko, and I forgot the third name. I think I wrote it down somewhere. And Goran Vucevic, obviously all Hajduk legends, all Hajduk veterans know what it's like to be in Split and what the pressure is. They're gonna come in and they're gonna bring their own board, but they still need to decide who's gonna be the president, and it doesn't seem likely they're gonna pick one soon. So it looks like this current board is gonna stay a bit longer until July. But obviously, they're they're doing a good part on their job, because they've, I think, communicated with the new board and said, hey, if you want, do you want these guys? Okay, we'll do that job for you, so you don't have to do something like sack the manager that we're going to bring in, or the sporting director, or you got to find a whole new sporting director when you come in. So they're kind of communicating together, it seems.
Yeah, and I think what's sold it, and it's sort of why Garcia got his nomination. One, a lack of competition, but two, he was able to turn it around very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think we sort of go back to January, and we were talking about it. One of the big jobs that was going to be difficult for him was, you have a side in Istra who, under Tarzani, played the opposite style of football to what Garcia wants to see, and he was able to get that communicated and across very quickly to make them a very effective prospect. It took a couple of games, but we've seen it on this run in that they are one of the top sides in the league. They had a ruthless streak that they didn't earlier this season, and really, they missed out on Europe because of things that happened before he came in. In terms of the results that they should have got, rather than necessarily anything they've missed out here and now. I suppose the question is, from a Hajduk perspective, is this is probably the one stylistic change that they've probably not tried over the past 3-4 years.
Yeah,
it feels like it has to work. But
we've tried a lot.
We probably said that this time last year as well. It feels like things have to work. And you need to... I would say that squad needs ripping apart, but it needs an awful lot of work doing to it.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if he goes back and says, right, okay, I need to bring in 3 players because they know how I want to play. Maricic would be a very good example, because you put him alongside Bobic and just say, right, look, this is what I want you to do in terms of drawing the press, playing through it, and how we're building up from the back. Because they don't have that at the minute. But again, sort of from when you watch them live, they don't really have much of an identity. Full stop.
No, under Gattuso we don't have much of an identity, especially build-up play.
Yeah. So I think it's almost like anything will. I don't say anything will do because Garcia is a talented manager, but I think even third this time next season, but with a personality and a style that's
Yeah,
imprinted on the team that you can see a direction you're going on, will automatically be better than this season.
yeah. I said it. I commented. I put up a tweet obviously after the news became public. Uh, if this is a long term project, I strongly believe that it's gonna work out. Like very good. If you actually stick by Garcia next season, I think you can write it off. Like if it starts going somewhat badly, by saying somewhat that again third, but very strongly third, not like close to the title. You can just say, hey, okay, we had a tough last season. We have to sell this summer. We'll get to this possible sales because today a lot of news came out. Uh, but if Garcia stays, if Garcia is able to do one full, and I don't see a reason why he won't do another full season. While Hajduk don't stick with a manager now, you stuck with Gattuso, and Gattuso obviously isn't gonna stay. Wasn't ever gonna happen because
Yeah.
it's obviously took a huge part on him mentally. But he's linked with the Torino job now, so we'll see what happens there. But I have a feeling he might want to take a bit of a break after split because I know I would want to.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I think
but
from a Garcia perspective as well, obviously when he left Istra last time, I think he expected there to be a very good market for him, and there wasn't.
Yeah, no,
And it seems weird to say that Hajduk's probably the best he can get, but it probably is
yeah,
at this time. And again, they want someone to put a style of football on, and within the region, there's not too many people you can go and get unless you sort of went and got Riera, but he's a bit mad.
mm. A
Um,
bit,
yeah, yeah.
a bit.
Bordeaux changed him. I think it's sort of what
I
I'd say
mean,
from his career.
yeah, yeah,
But that what I mean. It seems it's quite interesting that we're seeing a lot of success because obviously Hajduk did try the Spanish management route in the past, not
yeah,
to great success. Let's be fair. But but when Spanish managers are coming in past 3 years, wow, they're hoovering everything up.
yeah. But I really do think that if we let Garcia, and even if we sack him, we need to stick with that style because I have a feeling if you're gonna get Garcia and if you're gonna make signings he wants and players he wants and to play the style for the he wants, you need to stick by it because we in the last 3 seasons we know how many managers we changed and every single one wasn't at all similar to the previous one.
Yeah, and not only that. I mean, really, let's be honest. No one's really had an interest in playing football
Yeah,
since Dambrascus.
yeah, especially modern football,
Yeah.
which I think in this day and age you've seen how much it means to play modern football
Mm.
because it's either don't change and get the results like Leco has, like Gattuso has, like I mean Karoglan had okay tactics in terms of modern football, but obviously man management is also a problem for him.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So
think when you sort of speak to players, they are considering that sort of modern football aspect when they're
yeah,
choosing clubs now, more so than ever. You sort of hear about dressing rooms, as it were, and you sort of hear these older managers in there, and they actually now tend to be the ones where you've got players who know players who know more about tactics, about strategies, about coaching than really they ever have before.
Yeah,
Who are actually in there with like, what's this guy doing? Talking about playing long balls? No,
yeah,
they know how to take ownership.
yeah. I mean, we've seen how Bologna has done. We've seen how who else is a great example? Who's Motta managing? Thiago Motta.
I don't know. That's the top five league. I don't watch that crap.
We don't watch that crap. Who gives a shit? But Roberto De Zerbi also. I mean,
Mhm.
we've seen what he's done with Brighton and Marseille, but the less said about that Marseille squad and their players, the better.
Obviously,
Uh,
Palace as well.
yeah, and Palace. Uh, you just need to see how they're playing, and I mean, there's no reason for Hajduk to not adapt that philosophy and go with it for at least 2 to 3 years.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't work after 3 years, switch to whatever you want, but stick by it because switching managers, it's not always the manager's fault. The players, I mean, this season is partly on the squad, partly on Gattuso. But I haven't had that much problem with the Gattuso's tactics, but more with this player selection.
Mhm.
If he selected the players in their actual positions, I think we would have actually seen. And if Pukstas played more, if Sigur played at right back, I think and Hrgovic at left back, I think we could have seen a much better Hajduk. But we obviously didn't get that. We got Hrgovic at right back, Sigur wherever you needed him, and Pukstas, we saw him on the bench for 70% of the season.
Yeah, and obviously there's other. I mean, obviously Dinamo have that uh, managerial position open as well. Now, again, I think we have strong links, but it's probably one where you have about managers strongly linked with
Yeah.
Dinamo at any one time, depending on what agent you're speaking to. And obviously, Rijeka will have the benefit of being able to continue and to actually plan, but uh, the finances for them are probably the more interesting side of things. Like we
Yeah.
mentioned at the top of the episode about Fruk. But obviously they have made a lot of money over the past 12 months in terms of
Yeah. No.
player sales.
And they'll get
And
more from Europe because you just need to win one game and you'll get good money at least in the Conference League. If you're able to make it to the Europa League, even better. But I think the Champions League is a bit of a far fetch because you're gonna be unseeded in every round.
yeah, but like you say, you only need to win one. And
Yeah.
yeah, as you say, obviously you could get Olympia, which
Yeah. So
it
actually,
is,
let
in
me.
spite of what happened, it wasn't a bad draw.
Yeah. No. I actually have the list of the possible opponents because it's already known.
Mhm.
So Crna Zvezda, Ferencvaros, Maccabi Tel Aviv, Slovan Bratislava, Karabag, Ludogorets, Dinamo Kiev, Steaua Bucharest, not the new Steaua, FCSB,
Mhm.
Lech Poznan, Olympia, Malmo, Copenhagen, and Midtjylland.
Yeah, I mean, that's there's five sides there. In there, you probably say they'd be favourites against.
Yeah.
I mean, even you say like, Keith, they were terrible in the groups. They were
Yeah.
amazing in qualifying, but they were terrible in the groups. So, what side are you going to get from them this time around? Who knows? Um, so there's definitely a chance. And if you want to qualify for a European group stage, you want to be winning that first tie in the first competition, not losing and
Yeah.
then going down and then trying to pick things up from there. Because as we've seen, Partisan, that can be
Just
quite
don't
a
do a
hard.
partisan, lads.
Yeah,
Just don't do a partisan. That's all we ask for.
yeah. It is easy for those losses to pick up, and there can always be a mistake. Sorry, not a mistake. An upset in those first rounds. It could
Yeah.
be. You could say, "Oh, it's Olympia," or I don't know, Treg Penne of San Marino, and Olympia have two really bad games, and you're playing the champions of San Marino. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely a chance there. I mean, Rijeka will be in a group stage. Let's be honest about
Yeah,
that,
no.
because there is no chance they can have the bad luck that they've had seemingly every season for like the past 6 in getting an absolutely horrible draw at some point.
Yeah. Uh, what else? I mean, let's go on to Dinamo. Obviously, if I mean the Croatian Cup is very interesting, also to Shakhtar, because if
Mhm.
Slaven wins it, Shakhtar goes directly into the Europa League phase, and if Rijeka win it, we obviously already said that Dinamo goes straight into the Europa League phase.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to say if Slaven do win the cup, we're gonna see Dinamo in the Conference League. I don't see how, as the seeded side that they have, obviously they're probably gonna have the most coefficient points in the Conference League.
Yeah, you'd imagine so, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
I can't think that there'd be. I mean, I have to go looking, but aside
maybe
from
Fiorentina, because they're always in it again. They've again confirmed the place in the
yeah,
Conference League for the fourth season running.
without knowing who is, yeah, I mean they are in the Conference League next season, but and in the playoff round, so yeah, they will. There'll only be Fiorentina who will have the higher
Yeah,
stuff
see
than
that.
them.
Yeah,
So there's an advantage for them. You know, there will be seed in every qualifying round, and you would expect them to get through that, and that's an advantage,
especially
definitely.
considering teams that are gonna be in that Conference League unseeded part in all
Exactly.
rounds.
Yeah, and Hajduk as well. Obviously, will be. Just trying to check their seeding. They must be
They're gonna
seeded.
be seeded for the second and the third round playoff unseeded.
Yeah. So ideally, I mean, if you're talking about it from a coefficient perspective, ideally you probably want Slaven Blueprint to win the cup, because then you've got a higher probability of 3 sides in the conference in a European group stage than you do if
Yeah,
Rijeka win it and send Dinamo straight into the Europa League.
yeah. And who would you like to see more, Slaven or Varaždin, go into the Conference League, or maybe Europa League if Slaven win it?
Seven, seven deserve it.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing. It's not necessarily about the European side of it. Put that to one side. I would like to see Slaven Belupo win a trophy.
no, I think everybody would. First ever major trophy, same as Palace. Cool.
Yeah,
It's football. Who doesn't want to see that?
yeah. I think Barazin would have more chance
Yeah,
of doing something. That's not how we go at Slaven Belupo, but you know, there's more. I think there's more chance of Barazin. Let's be honest. There's more chance of them at least taking someone 0-0 over 2 legs and extra time to penalties and getting through that way, than there is necessarily of Slaven Belupo
yeah,
being a seeded side.
yeah. But also, the problem with Slaven is they're gonna lose a lot of, not a lot, but a few key players in Alen Grgic, Trepulja, Bosec, Dominik Kovacic, and then you're also losing Boras, Međimurec, and Klavnjak, but those are not that important, especially with
Mm-hmm.
Međimurec, who has been injured the whole season. Boras just hasn't played that much.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, Trepulja has been very key to Slaven this season, and obviously, I don't need to mention how good Grgic was.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. Slaven have overperformed this season. Barazin haven't.
Yeah, and I agree with you. If I had to choose who would be the best, not judging on the title, like who would get the furthest, I think it's Varaždin.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. No.
Varaždin could cause big troubles for any side just because nobody's contract is expiring with them. Anybody key?
Mm-hmm.
It's Mario Truic, but since he came there from Istra, he hasn't played at all. And it's another player that also hasn't. I don't think even made on a Tomislav Tomic. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a youth academy graduate of theirs, and that's it. Everybody else is staying for at least another season. So
Yeah.
unless they sell somebody, that team isn't going to see any major change.
I mean, Mitrovsky will be sold this summer.
Yeah, for good money also for the
Yeah,
club.
definitely. But I mean, again, they can defend well enough to keep them in any tie. The slight
Yeah.
problem with that is that they're so strong in defence and not so much going forwards that you
Maybe
put them
Marco
up
Dabro
against.
starts scoring.
Yeah,
Maybe Dabro starts scoring.
if he can score against Andorrans, I think they'll be absolutely fine. But you
Give
know,
us a San Marino side against Varadin so Marco Dabro can finally open a scoring account.
well, exactly, and I think that's it. You know, as much as you could see Varazine getting a 0-0 against a seeded side, you know, sort of like who's in that playoff round, like Betis or someone like that, you could see
Yeah.
Varazine just getting a 0-0 there. But at the same point, you could see them getting a 0-0 against Vaduz.
Yeah. But yeah, what else? Should we go should we go to Dinamo Hajduk transfer news?
I think we'll go Hajduk because
Yeah,
getting out the way.
so today Index reported that and Vashed Sat also reported on Perpic. So Perpic and Durdov seem to be the ones that are gonna be sold. Uh, Reportedly, Dinamo is not Dinamo. Sorry, Hajduk. Hajduk is gonna get around 7. Maybe they're even trying to bump it up to 8 million for Perpic, which they didn't expect. But obviously, it's a left-footed center back that's very modern. So you should get as much as possible as you can because people are gonna pay for that. Because you don't see a good left-sided, left-footed center back that's that good on the ball
Mhm.
every now and then. And Durdov obviously is the youngest, so you're just selling his potential, which is obviously always going to be high because he's 70.
Yeah. I mean, it's selling the youth from the squad, which isn't necessarily a good idea given the age profile of that squad.
Yeah, but
But at the same
who else
time,
are you going to sell?
good point. The
Are you going
vibe.
to sell? Are you going to? I mean, if he wants to go, you can. How much would you even get for Levaya now if he actually does want to go? He has 2 more years on his contract,
I
so that
mean,
maybe 5 million, 6.
I was going to say sort of between 4 and 6 million,
Yeah, 5 million or 6, I think, is the most realistic.
and I think I probably said this last season as well, that given Hajduk have consistently not found a way to have him in the squad and have everything else work around him, at some point you've got to think: is it an everything else problem or is it a him problem? In terms of sort of having some sort of coherent attacking structure. I mean, this season is probably a Gattuso problem. Let's be honest. But
I mean, yeah,
if you're in January 2026 and Garcia can't get anything out of him, then
yeah. But
and he's of an
um,
age.
yeah, he's getting there. I think he has 2 more years in him. Like he has one more good season in him, and then
Mhm.
the next season is gonna be a bit worse, but still he can still be very good if you use him correctly. And obviously, you gotta count on him not getting injured, which he does do, but he's been playing for injuries in the last month
Yeah,
again, and he
and
obviously I don't need to mention last season.
yeah, at least he'll be available without any league commitments at the start of next season, just to play the European games.
Yeah, so obviously he got a red card against
Mhm.
Šibenik, and there's a suspension coming his way of at least one match, but it could be up to 5 for the middle finger to the Armada fans, which are the Rijeka fans when Hajduk was playing them last week.
I mean, had sort of have a lot of work on, and they do definitely need to sell players to do that work.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not sure whether I think Dudov absolutely makes sense as a sale. Like, just go to Bruges or somewhere, and
and I mean Hajduk is in depth, so you need to sell. No, you haven't sold anybody this season for
yeah,
any good money. You sold Sahiti for nothing, and that's it. I
yeah.
think everything else has
Perpic,
been for free and a percentage of a future sale.
yeah. Perpic, I would probably want to keep another season, I would say, and just from a
Yeah,
perspective of to get a bit a bit more out of them, really. I think it's probably the best place for his education. But
Yeah, but
at the end of the day, what Hajduk need is they need a lot of things.
we need a lot.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned last week, obviously defense holding midfielder is a necessity. Right
Yeah,
back is probably a necessity. Um, again, this season has been bad for Puckstass's value.
very bad.
If someone came in with an offer, would you take it? Possibly now.
Depends on what it is.
Yeah. Stigo as well, just in terms of being a utility player, I can imagine there would be a few teams that would look at him. Um, and you need some athleticism in that midfield
Yeah,
because obviously there isn't a great deal of that. And what Hajduk always need is someone to take the load off the Via.
yeah.
Rusin runs about a lot, no doubt as to his effort, but again hasn't quite done what's needed. Sego hasn't worked. Um, it's a long list.
It's a long list. Obviously, Biuk and Mlakar's loans have ended.
Mm-hmm.
They're going back to their clubs. Mlakar, obviously, we didn't see much of him. He did score one goal, fair enough. Biuk, same. It's, nothing has changed since he was last at Hajduk. And Rusin was the only one that had a buyout clause for 2 million, but obviously Hajduk aren't going to spend 2 million on a player that hasn't provided anything of
Yeah,
note. But yeah, it's also been reported that Pukstas and the Hajduk want to keep Pukstas and Sigur because they're obviously two players that, if they play a full season, and both could be called up. Sigur, if he plays this season, he's most likely going to be called up for the World Cup with Canada.
mm-hmm.
And Pukstas, if Garcia uses him, he could be called up for the USA. So that's two players that you're betting on and hoping that actually play under Garcia and doesn't have, and we don't have another Gattuso season for the two of them.
Yeah, and also you have those two and Kravinovic. That is a good midfield. It
Yeah,
needs a balance to it, but
we need a
that's
six.
yeah.
We need a six. Every good team this season has had a six.
Mm-hmm.
Istra has Radošević, Dinamo has Mišić, Rijeka has Salahi, Strepuljak, Vekpornu. Who do you want to pick from for Slaven? Uh, who else? Osijek have Babets, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously Osijek is a special case. And any good team that's performed this season, they had a six, a good
Yeah.
six, which I I think we can agree is the most important position on the pitch.
It's certainly the biggest weakness for Hajduk on the pitch, just in terms
Yeah,
of
but I think
what they've
just
got
like
around it.
general football terms, I think it's the most vital position because if you're having a six, it's in the center of everything, and if you
Yeah.
obviously he has to be capable at everything, which Sigur is to a
Mm-hmm.
certain degree, but he's not a great. He's just good,
Yeah.
which obviously you need a great player to solidify that midfield, especially if Rakitic is gonna stay for another season, which we still don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's gonna speak to his wife and decide. So it's up to the wife to say, "Hey, I enjoy splits, so another season, another year. Don't have anything against the split weather and the beach."
Yeah.
Uh, but we'll see what happens with Rakitic. If he stays, I hope it's gonna be in a more off the bench role, not starting every match and playing full 90 minutes.
Or even just in a sort of get your coaching badges.
Well, yeah, that too, but I think he can still deliver something in the last 20, 30 minutes of a match.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. I mean, in terms of dictating the pace of a game,
Yeah,
he's still elite at that. But like you say, I mean, I think is obviously this season has been not the right use of him at this point in his career.
no. And I also want to see how's Japper, because hasn't didn't even appear against Shibani for 1 minute.
Mhm.
He's obviously just, it's either the career is done for him, because if he's not able to come back at a good level, that's just a waste of money, sadly, but obviously not
Hmm.
not something you could have expected.
Yeah.
Krančevića, screw you. Uh, not the first pitch nor the last to take a player's career, to be
Mhm.
fair, in the HNL. But I mean, if if you're gonna bring in Garcia, I think it's fair enough to go in at least try and say, "Hey, Garcia, pick 3 players you want to bring in, and we'll try our best."
Yeah. And I mean, I think you could probably even make a pretty good guess of who those three players might be.
Maricic, Mauric, maybe. I would prefer more Radošević, but
Mhm.
it depends who's if Rakitic is gonna stay for me.
Yeah.
If you're, but still Mauric, then you have Krovinovic, Pukstas. It depends on how the season goes. If we get
Hmm.
into Europe somehow, if we can get a good draw again and actually use it this time, then obviously bringing in Mauric would be very good.
Yeah. And
Uh,
then just someone with pace.
Maybe Kadušić on the right can also play at
Hmm.
both wings.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it says a lot that you can pick so many players from Easter who will get into this Hajduk side. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I kind of see. I see Sigur as. I mean, I'm very subjective to Sigur, because when I watched them against Istra last season, when we lost 1-0 in the last minute, when I watched Sigur, I've just after that just become probably the biggest fan of him,
Hmm.
just because he was just like Rakitic was when I watched Hajduk Osijek my first time at Polio this season, when I first saw Rakitic live, and I was like, yeah, this is top level, which is very similar to what Sigurd did in that game as a 6 against Istra last season under Leko. But I think if Garcia is gonna come in, Sigurd is gonna be very crucial, whether he plays in the midfield or at right back, and I hope
Hmm.
not on the wing.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see.
Yeah,
It's just, I mean, they've got to change something.
yeah. Uh, Lovre Kalinic is leaving the club. His contract isn't going to get renewed. Legend of the club, but obviously last season when Lucic got injured, and then Kalinic got injured again, so
Yeah.
Lucic that was injured had to step in again. I mean, he just hasn't been good.
No.
In the first year or two when he came in, he was one of the best goalkeepers in the league. But after that, it's become evident that the years have gone.
Yeah. And no, nothing wrong with that. But
He might even retire, but we'll see what happens.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's his time at this level's done, if nothing
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think you mentioned so. Dynamo.
I actually also wanted. I think
Oh
we mentioned. Did we mention in the last podcast that Ivan Banic is close to Hajduk?
no, yes, I think so.
Yeah, but
I,
obviously,
I feel like I
again,
probably made my typical comment about Banic, like you shouldn't be signing him because you're not going to have him busy every single minute of the game.
no, yeah, but Hajduk. I think Hajduk's plan is to have Banic as a second goalkeeper and to see what Silic can do in the first
Mhm.
half of the season, and or at least at the start. So if he
Yeah.
can perform good. And obviously, you want to have a young goalkeeper perform good, because it's obviously worked out for Hajduk in the past.
Mm.
So yeah, Dinamo. So players that could depart Dinamo. It's gonna take a minute. Noah Mikic today was confirmed to leave after his 6-month extension in January. He's gonna leave the club. The coaching staff and just anybody at the club hasn't been surprised or has liked him, his quality to put him in the first team that much. So it looks like he's gonna probably go to another HNL side, or maybe somewhere
I think they're saying Osijek, aren't
international,
they?
but very close to Croatia. I think maybe Hungary, Slovenia. We'll see where he goes. Then obviously Mae, Kanga, and Cordoba. Obviously, Zvoni Boban is like, get them off my payroll. They're having
Hmm.
too much money for not doing anything. So they're gonna leave the club if Dinamo can find buyers. That is, if they
Mhm.
can't, will they take a hit and terminate their contracts? We'll see. Ristovski, Moharami are obviously leaving the club after their contracts have expired both. So Dinamo is currently at 0 right backs for next season.
Mhm.
Petar Sucic is leaving for Milan, and Martin Baturina is, I think we can agree, gonna get sold.
Yeah, and Ademi as well. I think they're
Yeah, he's
saying
also
he's
leaving.
been in talks with Maribor, but they don't want to pay him as much as he'd like.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, again, that's not a big loss. And obviously, Rog, did you mention Marco Rog? I think obviously
I
his
mean
loan
his loan is
is up.
ending, so it's not his contract, but he
Yeah,
hasn't played, and it's obviously they're not gonna buy him.
yeah. There's a lot. I mean, again, there's a lot to do there.
Yeah,
Um,
so it's a similar story to Hajduk. You just need a lot of work to do. So
mhm.
best of luck.
Yeah, I think if you are, let's say, Budapekovic, are you wanting to stay into a rebuild? Possibly not. I think how many actual reliable first teamers are going to be there at the start of August? Nevisic, Piazza, and
Misic,
Misic.
Galicic,
Yeah, it's it's a lot of empty spaces.
RPG.
Yeah, I think RPG's got interest.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't see why not.
Yeah,
But
he's got a potential that he'll be sold. I believe the other half of
yeah,
Raptor
and
is looking
Petkovic
at
is
him.
also, his agent has come out the other day saying we'll sit down with Boban and see what to do.
Yeah. So you pretty much, let's say we can write Nevisic, Golenovic, Piazza Misic, and a couple of
Galicic.
others. There's about there's five slots there at least of that first team that probably
Yeah,
won't be there next in July,
yeah,
which is an awful lot of work to do.
yeah. And you also need to sign replacements. You need to sign players that are going to be in the rotation because you need them.
Mhm.
Uh, so it's going to be a long road for Hajduk and Dinamo. Uh, what else about Bartol Franic? I also forgot to mention him.
Yeah,
He confirmed today on his socials, I think Instagram, that he first posted on that he's just not, that he just said goodbye and said thanks for everything.
Mhm.
And second spell at Dinamo hasn't really worked out again, which I mean was brought in essentially to be a left back again, which and the first time didn't really work out. So I don't. Nobody's really surprised that it didn't work out again.
yeah. So I mean, the obvious transfer rumor then we have to talk about as an incoming for Dynamo would be a certain
There's
old man,
really
Modric.
what? Oh, I was kind of more focused on Jakov Medic and Mateo Lissa being linked. The more realistic ones for now. The ones that I have actual, sources behind them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Luka Modric will leave Real Madrid after the Club World Cup, which is gonna take a long, long time on the new format. It's gonna be like a month and a half, I think, if Real reach the final. It's a full-on tournament, which whatever you want to do for more money, I guess. Uh,
Which, if anyone's even going to watch it,
I know I won't.
I mean, it's on Channel 5 in the UK, which is which is not where sport goes. Let's be honest.
I mean, yeah. I also saw today. I know who was it. Romano? It was somebody that posted like Ronaldo is close to Al Hilal or whatever the club name is, like the
Yeah,
rivals to Al Nasser. Uh, and he wants to join them to play at the Club World Cup, which more games to score the to get to the 1,000 goal mark. and RB Salzburg on their Twitter posted the lengths people go to play against Salzburg.
Yeah.
uh, nice. But yeah, obviously we don't know where Modric will go. There's been thousands of teams that have obviously been linked, but obviously everybody's gonna get linked with Modric because he's 39
Modric.
and uh, he's free. He's a free agent, so everybody wants him. Getafe wants him. Dinamo, obviously, Velimir Zajec has said he still hasn't spoken to him, but he will try.
Mhm.
So we'll see. But I have a feeling that Modric just won't go to Dinamo just because he wants to leave space for youngsters, which
Mhm.
obviously Dinamo has. Uh, I also want to see if Branko Pavic is going to get any minutes next season because obviously this season Andrija Kirovic he got some good minutes.
Mhm. I
Uh,
think I would expect so, but I would expect them at Lokomotiva.
yeah, true. And Vrbacic is also coming back, so we can
Yeah.
maybe expect him. Obviously Mudražija is getting in. Who else? Who have they bought? They bought a few players.
I mean, I think obviously you mentioned Paris. I mean, I think next season is going to be a big one for Paris because I can't see. Like I said, I do think it'll be on loan at Lokomotiva. I can't see Schmakai being at Lokomotiva next season
Yeah, no, I have
because
a
he's
feeling
too
he's
good.
also gonna. Yeah, he's gonna get sold. I have a friend from Zagreb that went to school with him, so
Mhm.
anytime he goes to the Kranjvić a bit, and he's like, "There's my classmate." Doesn't remember me, but there's my classmate.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens with Dinamo. Rijeka doesn't have much going on because nobody's. I mean, who are the players that are leaving Rijeka? Let
uh,
me.
Juara
I mean,
is
it's
the main one, I
Juachra and
think.
Salahi.
Yeah.
Petrovic and Bruno Godin, and the man without a HNL appearance, David Envolokor.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce it? The poor guy has been at Rijeka for like 7 years, 0 appearances in the league. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Salahi. I still think that Miskovic, he could sit down now with Miskovic after they won the league because it's Champions League and he can ask for a pay rise, and same with Joachra
Yeah.
and Petrovic. So I don't think that's still confirmed to be that they're going to leave, but if they do, it's obviously going to be a big hit for Rijeka.
I think it changes the equation, doesn't it? One, they're going to need the depth, but two, if you're like say Salahi, for example, 2 good games in July and August, and then you've got
Yeah,
6 months of a very good shop window to get yourself a better move,
yeah,
and you probably get yourself a better quality move in January,
yeah,
with a good first six
or
months of
next
the
summer
season.
even.
Yeah, yeah. Then you can right here, right now.
Yeah, I think same thing for Petrovic because he's in the rotation, but if Brook's gonna go, that opens up a slot in the midfield for you to jump into.
Yeah, I mean that'd
Depends
be.
on if Rijeka's gonna buy somebody. Still, no rumors about anything, but this is just speculation at this point.
I mean, they will, and I mean, like I say, I think Piazziti, that Rijeka would be the perfect landing place for him. That's
Yeah,
just it's just such an obvious Rijeka move. Um,
I mean, a good player at Gorica. Who's gonna pick him up?
yeah, exactly. Um, and I, mean, I think he could play at a higher level than Rijeka already, but I
No, I
think
also
it makes sense that as a move, and then a couple of others sort of domestic as
yeah.
well.
Sportska Novosti today posted that Hajduk have Pajaziti as a top target this summer, but as you said, he can play at a top level, and I know one Bundesliga club that's really interested in him.
Mhm.
So
It's not an Austrian Bundesliga club because I've
no,
not I've not
no,
read
no.
anything on him.
No. It's not. It's not the Austrian Bundesliga,
No.
but it's the German Bundesliga, the bigger
The
one,
OG.
the OG. that wants him. So we'll see. So he also needs to talk to Fulham because they have a contract. They have a contract optional extension on him for one more year. So he said on a podcast that he's gonna sit down with Fulham and see uh, what to do because obviously, if after this season and obviously interested him, have a feeling that Fulham will want to activate that
Yeah, and he's had his
and
full
maybe
call
cash
up.
in.
He's had his full call up for this round of internationals as well.
Yeah, and he's also already made his debut for Albania, so he's now definitely gonna be standard international. So obviously, Fulham can cash in if they want.
Yeah,
But if they don't, Payasiti is free to do whatever he wants, and he has interest. That I know he's not short of options.
yeah.
What else? Have we covered everything? I think we have pretty much.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, we still have a few minutes. Let's so player of the season. I think we both agree. Tony Fruk.
Yeah,
Manager of the season. I think that still depends on the cup.
yeah. It does. If it's a double, it's Jalovic.
Yeah,
If it's not, then it's not.
Kovacevic, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm taking Slam from last place to winning the cup and Europe. Like, okay, Jalovic, you won the league, but this is,
Yeah.
the Crystal Palace. This is it. This is what you
Yeah.
want. Goal of the season. What would you pick?
I mean, even fights this weekend.
HNL. Not next season. We're not speaking about next season. Next season is just gonna be Ivan 5 times.
I mean, it's difficult. Obviously, there were. I mean, Fruit's goal this weekend again. That's a marvelous strike in the circumstances. And I know, I know there's a mistake in the lead up to it, but still, that's a great goal.
Still very good. But there've been better ones.
Goroshan the week before, I would have
True.
very high up there as well. But I think Jagosic.
Yeah, no, I would also pick Jagosic. For me, it would be Jagosic. I'm very close between Livaja's bicycle kick and the Garicic's free kick. Because that free kick you're never scoring that again. That's once in a lifetime. You're not doing a Declan Rice at scoring that 2 times in one game or ever again, probably. So, and then Goricans and Hernani are also on the same level for me.
Of course, yeah. And we didn't really touch much on that, but that is a fantastic strike as well. And just it's not got that much pace on it. It looks like it shouldn't really. It just sort of looks like it's going over, and then it doesn't.
Oh, you're talking about the free kick?
Sorry, the free kick, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was talking about the Trivela goal against Dinamo. No, very good free kick, but I think the Trivela goal is a bit better. But we also Niko Jankovic's strike against Gorica in September wasn't in the goal of the season list.
No.
But fair enough. You're like, hey, Rijeka scores this every weekend, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, well, that's it. With any goal of the season competition, they have to have the types of goal included. You have to have a team goal. You have to have a 30-yard rocket. You have to have a set piece.
But I think just Jagosic's goal it's also very nice. It's one of the most satisfying goals I've seen in football.
Yeah, definitely.
And should we quickly maybe pick a team of the season that actually makes sense?
Well, I can't guarantee it'll make sense, but we can have a go.
Make more sense than the official one. In goal, I'm up between Zlomyslic and Zelenica.
Yeah,
but the problem is they've had the least to do because both defenses have done more of the job for them. But then again, when they needed to step up, they stepped up.
I mean, I think it's. I have a soft spot for Zelenica. I think he's one of those where I sort of compare him to Calliner in terms
Oh yeah,
of, actually, you want to just pick him up and put him in a better league, he will do exactly the same standard of job for you. He's
yeah,
that sort of keeper. And at the end of the day, you can't have that excellent defensive record without an excellent keeper behind you.
yeah.
Banic has had a good season. I think he has had a couple of errors in there, which is sort of his standard. But
And we also got to remember that for the first month or two, he didn't play
yeah,
at all because
mhm,
Radošević was the number one, and then Radošević got injured, and I think for reasons evident this weekend,
mhm,
Gorica didn't trust Žigar, so they were like, "Hey, Banic, I know you probably weren't expecting to play this season, and probably were looking for a move away, but hey,
yeah,
Radošević is injured, get in."
and he did excellently. No
Yeah,
doubt about that. There's not really, I suppose, aside from these sort of bit part keepers, there's not really a bad keeper.
Ima Lušić. This, I mean, early in the season he was good, but
Mhm,
anything after November, no,
yeah, but
just
that's where you replace
no.
him.
Yeah, that's why we have Josip Silic now as
Yeah,
the number one, and even Banic coming in.
yeah.
But
And
so
I mean,
Zelenica,
even
I think
so,
we
like,
can
I mean, I
agree.
think we should say Malinic as well. But sort of for the
Yeah,
same
but
reason as Banic.
he's had so much to do with the poor guy.
Yeah,
He's the poor guy has had so many. I think he's probably the goalkeeper with the most shots faced.
yeah. Because it
Poor
didn't just
guy.
fall apart for a bit.
Yeah. So who are we picking? Zelenica.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right back.
Um. I mean, we can't pick RPG in two positions, can we?
No.
That makes things difficult.
Valincic.
Valencia's, yeah, Valencia's got the spot in the
Yeah,
in the
in the
yeah.
official one.
I think Karacic has had good and bad.
Yeah.
But I think the good has eventually outweighed the bad. But I would probably
Yeah.
go with Valencic, assuming we're picking RPG on the left.
Wait. Who else would you have? We have Maglica, but Maglica hasn't been instrumental as let's say Valincic was to Istra,
Yeah,
or even Karacic was to Lokomotiva. He's just good. He's not a player anybody's gonna pick up as a signing as a player that's gonna improve from the top four sides.
mhm,
Uh, and Mikanovic hasn't. He's also had good and bad for Gorica. So yeah, I think Valencic is probably the best option if we're going with a forward in the defense.
yeah.
The two center backs. Who do we pick? I
Do we just stick with Baratheon?
I mean Maricic or Koski
Mar-
have to be in there, but
yeah, Maricic definitely. I think from a progressive play perspective,
yeah.
in terms of his passing that he offers, has to be. I mean, Galicic. I mean,
Mm,
obviously, save
the
of the
problem
season.
yeah, save the season, but before that, Dinamo didn't do much, and obviously got a free game suspension. But even before that, didn't really do much.
Yeah. Juranovic.
No, I don't think you can pick Hajduk's defense. Anybody,
Yeah.
because the defense didn't really do a good job this season.
So probably Maricic and Bar.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody else, but maybe Radelic has a shout. Okay. Maybe Boric actually.
Yeah.
No, but actually, like Boric maybe could have a shout because he did have a good season he played, I think, 90% of the matches. Yeah, he played 32 matches
Mm.
out of the 36 for Slaven this season. Uh, and has also been very good in the cup. So, you know what? I'm gonna go with Božić, 37, and
Yeah.
still a vital to Slaven.
He'd be the only 35 plus player we have then.
Yeah, Ba is like the third choice.
Yeah.
Left back. Does RPG have anybody to like count?
Well,
If Heister played the full season, I think I would have picked Heister, but he obviously hasn't played the full season
yeah.
Since Garcia came in.
Jurisic did get nominated for stuff, but
Yeah, but now win it.
no.
Anybody else really except
No.
RPG? I don't think there's
No.
anybody. Luka Lucic, but then again, RPG's better.
Yeah.
Has had a better season. Yeah, you know what? RPG. How are we gonna choose the midfield?
Have we chosen formation?
4-3-3 or
4-3-3.
4-2-3-1. Yeah. Let's go with the 6.
I mean, I think you said before Krapulia.
Who?
Krapulia.
Trepulia.
Yeah. Sorry,
Krapulia,
I'm pronouncing him like a British person. Sorry.
Yeah. I was like,
I have my moments. Do well most of the time.
I'm like trying. I'm trying to think of somebody on K and somebody that's like, because I didn't really hear you the first time. I was like, who?
SofaScore 6 has Rakitic's best, and I'm not having that.
No, I'm not having Rakitic as a lone 6. No, thank you. Unless we're gonna have 2 very physical midfielders next to him.
Yeah.
But we're obviously not. But yeah, Trepulia. This season, but the problem is he's played 66 minutes this season. He hasn't been that consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So would it be fair to pick him?
The alternative is probably Misic
or Marina.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just on ratings, Misic would be ahead.
Yeah. But then again, I also have a problem with picking Dynamo players just with how their season has panned out.
I think we will have Dynamo players. You could also say Smakai because he's sort of grown into it as the season's gone on.
Yeah, but the problem with Misic is I think he's made even less appearances than Trepulia. Yeah, he has.
Yeah. But to be fair,
maybe Smakai then.
Because he's been injured, yeah.
Yeah, he's been injured, but maybe Smakai then. Do you agree?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah. 2 central midfielders. Fruk has to be one of them.
Well, would you play him as central midfielder?
Well, more at that. Let's go 4-1-4-1. Let's go with the Sopic special.
Okay. Then yeah, we can have
him. Yeah, we can have him.
Yeah. But I think that first half of the season you would have Madracia. But
yeah,
second half of the season,
Madracia.
No.
Right wing, Mitrovsky or Grgic for me.
Grgic because he moves more. Mitrovsky is, I like as a player.
Yeah.
Just because he has such great positional awareness of where to be to get a chance. But in terms of who provides more, Grgic provides more.
Yeah. The other attacking midfielder.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you have to have Brook as a central. It's just quite difficult then because that means you're not picking Baturna, presumably.
Yeah, but he hasn't had a good season. That's the problem.
He's had the season where he's done a lot of work, but It has had impact, but just not as much as a player of his quality you expect.
Should
To the
have.
point,
Yeah.
to the point I'd almost be like, would you have Stojkovic? But again, probably by the not playing enough rule, he probably wouldn't fit there because
Yeah.
obviously he was in there by there being no one else.
Yeah. God, maybe do we move somebody from the wing into the? I don't think Jankovic deserves a place because he also had a very bad run of games.
Because on if shift it to the left, would you have Sego based on his first half of the season?
No, I wouldn't.
Should we just clone Tony Crook? Just say
Just have it 2 times.
we've got
Maybe
keeper, four defender,
should we move
six,
Mitrovsky?
and then
Should we move maybe Mitrovsky to the middle?
he doesn't really play in the middle though.
Yeah, but that's oh no. Who else are we gonna pick then?
I don't know.
Petar Sucic,
Yeah,
but he's also been injured.
Interesting.
He's also been injured.
We cloned Crook 5 times. Cloned him 11 times. Well, maybe 10, and just
maybe we do pick Madrasia then.
I think you sort of have to.
Yeah, I think you do pick Madrasia then. Yeah, you know what? We'll go with Madrasia because I'm really struggling to find. Maybe we can drop Livaya, but I kind of think that the striker position is for him. Like you're not gonna have Livaya then Kulenovic up front.
No.
So yeah, I'll go with Madrasia, and on the left wing, Piazza. I think because
he's not exclusively played there, but
yeah, hasn't exclusively played there, but has mostly played there.
Yeah, first half of the season, Shago, but
yeah, but all around, all around season, I think it's Piazza, and he hasn't gotten injured. He hasn't didn't really miss any games, and was instrumental to Dinamo on both European and the Champions League and in the league.
Yeah,
and obviously striker. I think we said that Livaya.
Do your job.
Do it, Shaw.
I think if anyone was wanting to make a case, you could possibly make a case for Santini.
I was actually gonna say that if you're gonna pick anybody else, I think you can just pick Santini. If you're gonna go with anybody else, maybe Kulenovic, but I think Santini. Has done more for.
Kulenovic was good for a month, and then just sort of fell away the rest of the time. But like you say, Santini, I mean, even I guess Hajduk on Sunday, you look at some of the touches he was having. Like,
you can just see that he's still
got
good.
The class.
Yeah, and somebody should pick him up because Šibenik's not relegated. I can see. I mean, Gorica lacks a good striker. Erceg obviously hasn't. Erceg is Erceg. He's gonna run, but obviously he's already had issues with Sarovic because he's been on the bench a lot of times. Got the red against was it Tistra or Varaždin? It was against somebody or Šibenik. I think it was a Šibenik. The red card. So I think Gorica could pick him up. Maybe Varaždin because obviously Dabro isn't cutting it out, and Antonovic hasn't really made his mark. So yeah. Fair enough. Except Madrasia. Yeah, I'm pretty good with that team.
Yeah. We'll accept it. I think it's one of the probably like we pick first half of the season but not second half. We pick second half of the season but not first half of the season. It's there's so few players who have had a full season of looking good.
Yeah.
And so few teams who have had an extended period of looking good as well. We've probably got we've got 2 Lokomotiva players and let's be honest, until a fortnight ago, Lokomotiva was still probably in danger of being relegated. So it's saying a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening or watching, and we'll see you next week after the cup final and after the Opatia Vukovar game. And before the World Cup qualifiers, where we'll also touch on Croatia, which I've somehow, I mean, with purpose, haven't wanted to mention just because I want to leave that for next week when we get
Mhm.
closer to it. But yeah, thank you for listening or watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.